Hey, I'm Ben Fanning, and I help big CEOs launch powerful and profitable podcasts. You're going to love this incredible interview with the legendary CEO of Home Depot, GE Power, and Chrysler, Bob Nardelli, who shares the essential trait that every leader needs to succeed.
When I go to a new job, the rate of my learning is the rate with which the company's going to advance. So I kind of have to be a dry sponge in a bucket of water and absorb everything as quickly as I can so that I can be productive and contribute to the overall strategy, structure, and people. That's the key going forward. Well, I'll give you an example. When I went to Chrysler, Steve Feinberg, the founder of Cerberus Capital Management, asked me to join the team. We're going to do some due diligence, and he's a true patriot. His interest in basically extracting Chrysler from Daimler was to stand up an American legacy. And so that was an interesting experience to do that. And what I learned there was, again, not uncommon. When I showed up, they said, "Bob, you're not a car guy. So what do you know about cars?" I said, "Well, car guys kind of got you into this problem. Let's figure out how we can work together." Yeah. And so my style always was to meet my direct reports in their office. I'd go to them. They didn't have to come to me. And I'd ask them, "What do you like? What don't you like? What are your aspirations? What would you like to achieve, et cetera, et cetera." So I try to mix business and personal. So I have a good understanding of that person. What are your aspirations? What do you want to do? How can I help you do that? Then I spend about 300 hours meeting their staffs, the staff of the staff, and really trying to assess talent and capabilities with strategy, structure, and people. And at the end of the day, it's interesting. I have this vision of an inverted triangle, Ben, where everybody wants authority. Then there's responsibility, the next layer down. And some of them want responsibility, but at the peak of the triangle, darn few want accountability. And so I've always been a big proponent of my success is vested in their success. In other words, I can't, as the CEO with fiduciary responsibility, be successful singularly. I have to mobilize. I believe there's no first among peers. And I believe strongly in delegation, not abdication. A lot of CEOs will bark and launch and leave. I like to be able to delegate and follow up meticulously on those assignments as to how we're making progress. So, when I was running GE Transportation, we'd meet 5:30 every Monday morning. And I would know, because they knew, every locomotive that was out of service and what are we doing to get customer satisfaction. We were focused on Net Promoter Score long before it got introduced as Net Promoter Score. And then I would get 300 of my factory workers in the auditorium, and we would have a weekly, it was GE Transportation System, we'd have a gets together. And so we would tell them, here's what happened last week, here's what we got to do this week. Hey, I can get this order from Norfolk Southern, but I need you guys to commit to this, this, and this. You can either commit to it or we won't take the order. So I was always very candid and very front. And so for me, horizontal promotions, it's like that analogy, a tall tree and a strong wind blows over. If it has a good foundation and a trunk and it's growing up and matured, then you're able to, don't forget what you learned, and be able to apply those learnings in new challenging situations. So I took every opportunity to not only do what was my job, but what could I volunteer for? So I volunteered to be the manufacturing rep on the features and appearance console for marketing. I went through a 2-year program at GE so that I could take my core academic curriculum and convert it to the GE talk, GE terminology, right? And then I went and got my MBA. So I got my MBA. I would go 3 nights a week and Saturday because I needed to get it done for fear that I would be asked to move and lose those credit hours and so forth. So I'm a firm believer, the more you can learn horizontally, the more effective you're going to be at the top of the pyramid. One of the best compliments I got from a board member at Home Depot was, "Holy cow, Bob can see around corners." And I really pride myself. I took a course in the 70s called Kepner-Trago. Fast forward, it was a version of Black Swan. What could go wrong and what can I do to prevent that from going wrong? I'm a big believer in that. Preparation. I take my weekly schedule every Saturday and Sunday and meticulously go down. Am I prepared for every meeting? Am I prepared for every discussion? It's courteous. You have to respect the other people's time that are going into that meeting. You have to be equally prepared. And I've been blessed with good retention where I could have a meeting go away, and come back and pick up right where we left off. And so I've been blessed with that ability, and that has served me and my team well, so that we have continuity of thought in decision making. A lot of CEOs, to your example, will go in and bark, pop, 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 do this, do that. And I call it the launch and leave. The team eventually figures out, well, he or she are just barking and they aren't coming back, so there's no accountability. One of the things I learned from, you learn what to do and not do. Leader has to inspire, has to create a culture of how to versus why not. And then you recognize, reward, and encourage those team members to achieve things that they never thought they could achieve. I would say, let's go do this. I never thought we'd be able to get it done, but those teams would just perform and amaze me. And then you recognize, reward, and promote, right?
Hey, if you want to keep watching the world's best CEOs share their biggest secrets, make sure to subscribe to this channel and keep watching more videos. And if you're looking to build a profitable podcast for your company, make sure to reach out to me directly.